way down deep in the murky cypress swamps of Charleston, South Carolina, a man was born. A man by the name of Goomba Jack. He was born right at the stroke of midnight, what some folks consider halfway between good, halfway between evil. He was raised by the Broom Lady, one of the most notorious conjurers on this side of the Mississippi. She raised him as her own, taught him her ways. But as Goomba Jack grew older, he began to turn on the Broom Lady. Whatever you put out into this world will be returned to you 10 times greater, she would tell him. But then she died mysteriously, some even say at the hands of Goomba Jack himself. Mwahaha! Mwahaha! All of the following are infamous urban legends. The Abominable Snowman, the Blair Witch, the Great Sea Kraken, and Michael Jackson. But what about the legend of the Talipo? One of the most evil creatures in the Appalachian Mountains. The Talipo would soon go head to head with Goomba Jack, one of the meanest men to ever walk this earth. Who would come out on top? Let's find out in Goomba Jack by Cheddar Galloway. News of Goomba Jack's reputation began to spread around town, and he became a hated man for all of the evil deeds he had done. So the townspeople gathered and decided to run Goomba Jack out of town. So Goomba Jack and his 3 big, vicious dogs left town and finally settled in the Appalachian Mountains of Virginia. He built himself a cabin high up in the valley. But you know, there's a saying, evil knows where evil sleeps. So one night, as Goomba Jack was eating some dinner, something strange happened. He heard his front door open. And all of a sudden, a creature with big red eyes, jet black fur, and long sharp nails came slithering in. Now, Goomba Jack figured that a creature like that was only there to do some harm. So he grabbed his axe and chased the creature all the way to one side of his house. But the creature escaped. So he grabbed his axe again, chased the creature to the other side of the house. But the creature got away. So as the creature was slipping and sliding to the front door, Goomba Jack lifted his axe for one final time, ran over and shwoom! In one big sweeping motion, the big, thick, long tail of that creature was cut off cleanly. The creature ran away, leaving the big, thick, long, juicy tail. The tail that Goomba Jack decided he would eat. So he took the tail, brought it to his kitchen, cut it up, put it in a big pot, and waited for it to simmer. Then he dished some up, ate it all, and washed it down with some water. Then he blew out the candles that lit his cabin and made his way to bed. Not long though, he heard the sound, Goomba Jack, Goomba Jack, you have something of mine, and I want it back. You know what it is. I know you know. So bring me back my Talipo. After hearing this, Goomba Jack was not worried. Because remember, he had his 3 big, vicious dogs that he could call at any time. In fact, one of them dogs' name was Big, the other one was Bad, and the last one was just plain ugly. So he called his dogs, get 'em big, suck 'em bad, kill 'em ugly, and the dogs came from all directions of the house from underneath the cabin. They came from the left, One came from the right, and the last one straight from the middle. And they ran that creature back into the valley and into the woods. Then, Goomba Jack decided to go to bed, not waiting for the dogs to come back. The next morning, he woke up and realized he needed some wood to start a fire. So he grabbed his big axe, put on his hat, and walked out the front door. When he realized he was not the only one at his front porch that morning, he saw big, long, crawling nail scratches all over his front porch. He went to turn and look at the door, and he saw the same big, long nail scratches. And then he heard, Goomba Jack, Goomba Jack, I got your dogs, and you won't get them back. You know what I want, I know you know, so bring me back my taily Poe. At this, Goomba Jack dropped his axe, ran through his front door, slammed the door, ran into his bedroom, slammed the door, hopped in bed, pulled up the sheets, and was breathing heavily. He was scared, literally to death. And then he heard his front door open, and he heard the creature, slithering and sliding through. And then he pulled down the sheets to see the creature slithering and sliding through his front door. This creature approached his bed, saying, Goomba Jack, Goomba Jack, I'm here to get my taily Poe back. The creature crawled on Goomba Jack, first on his feet, then his legs up to his thighs, and Goomba Jack saw those big red eyes, that jet black fur, and those long, sharp nails that tore off the sheets and shredded Goomba Jack to pieces. Goomba Jack's cabin fell that night, leaving nothing but his chimney made of wood and stone that he'd made. Some folks even say that if you look into the moon amongst the stars lighting up the night sky, you can hear the faint voice of the creature. Taily Poe, Taily Poe, now